Pay attention to the black screen because there we go. There we are. It probably is there because, as you can notice, I'm back in the trading dungeon today. Had a couple meetings I had to deal with today, but it's good to be here with you guys. Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. Not necessarily a lot of news today, but a lot of things to cover. First of all, is the crypto bottom actually in? Is that confirmed? What would I do if I have $1,000 to invest today? What am I doing? What is T-Shroom doing? You're going to find out all of that and a lot more. While there's not a lot of news, we do have some headlines. For example, we now know what Donald Trump Jr. was referencing when he talked about a big move coming for DeFi and his infatuation with it. We're going to break down what that is as well. And as people have noticed, XRP is down today. I thought the lawsuit was over. Well, we're hearing some rumblings about potential appeals coming. What are the details? Stick around to the very end. If that is something that interests you, make sure to go ahead and smash the like button. Let's get YouTube just flooding this video with a bunch of views. Before that, though, we got to roll our intro. All right. T-Shroom, it is now me who's in a different spot today. Although you're in a different spot too. You're back home, aren't you?
That's right, Tim. I am finally in the place that I will be for probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then I'll be shipping out to a new city in Florida where my lovely wife and I will be in a different city for a different reason that maybe we'll get to in the Discord at some point. But no time for it here in the intro. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Before we get into crypto stuff, got a story for everybody. For those who don't know, I have a 14-month-old son. His name is Brody. And last night he gave us quite a scare, but he earned some respect in my eyes. And he has become, T-Shirt, you bring up that image for us. This is my son, Brody, right here. He is now officially a registered unit. What do I mean by that? This kid might be invincible. For those who don't know, Brody, I love the name Brody. I did select it. I was the one that wore my wife down into that name. Some translations say it means like a ditch or something. Let's not pay attention to that. What it means in certain languages is risk taker, right? The kid is living up to his name to a T. Last night, now I want to make sure before I get the story, he is okay. That's the premise of this. This is why he's a unit. Go back to that picture, T-Shirt. Let's keep the picture while we talk about him. Also, take a look at those calves. Look at the calves on this kid. If you go scroll down, the kid's going to be a beast. Anyway, so he's 14 months old. He is very much running. He's getting very, very fast. We live in a 2-story house here in Georgia, and he has learned for a long time now. He knows how to navigate up the stairs, down the stairs. That being said, obviously, as good, responsible parents, we're always right with him when he does this. Well, last night he decides it's time to play chase with mom upstairs. And I'm sitting downstairs kind of relaxing from the day, and I hear my wife yell, "Brody, no." Next thing I hear is a thump, bang, and my wife is screaming. I watch, because I have a view of the stairs, as Brody tumbles down the whole flight of stairs. Of course, as a parent, that freaks us out. Nobody wants to see their child fall down. Your immediate thought is, oh no, what just happened? First of all, is he breathing? Second of all, did he break anything? Third of all, are there any things? This kid, yeah, he was scared. He cried a little bit. Not a bruise, not a scratch, nothing. Aside from the fact that his mom was screaming, and so that scared him a little bit. Simply carrying him away and distracting him, the kid's A-okay. So kid's a unit. Definitely a
registered
football
unit.
stardom. He's a registered unit. Yeah, we're registering him there. I think it's confirmed the kid's going to play football. He can take a beating and just get up and walk on as if nothing happened.
Oh, no.
So yeah, that's my story. That's how I'm doing. Again, as a parent, scared. I don't want to see him repeat that. And trust me, everybody, I am looking into. We have a gate on the bottom for when he's downstairs. We're now getting a gate for the top stairs as well because we never want to see a repeat. But that being said, it's as if it never happened because the kid's a freaking tank. That being said, let's talk about some other tanks in the crypto market. Guess what? And I say tank. Tank's a negative term, T-Shroom. Let's talk about what's not tanking today here by taking a look at the crypto bubbles. We got a lot of green today, even though Bitcoin corrected a little bit deck down, as we told you it would. If you follow me on X, I literally told everyone, watch for a move towards 63 and then a pullback. Pretty much hit it to a T. But guess what's hitting really big today? TIA and SUI, 17% and 15%, while ZEC is also doing really well. With the exception of ZEC, these two are doing the best. If anyone is wondering why that is, guess what? Grayscale is expanding the crypto portfolio with new BitTensor and SUI investment trust. So anyone wondering why those things had such a pump, that is why. These are coins. I'll be very honest with you. I don't own SUI. I do own a little TIA. That news is very bullish for those long term. If you hold those in your portfolio, you're not necessarily making a mistake. That being said, the reason those are pumping is because they got fantastic news today, not a sign that those are going to move on the rest of the bull market being the top movers. However, for anyone who holds them, good for you. That's a great investment right there. Take a look at our biggest loser, though. Again, why is it not up? Why is it down 9.5%? We're going to get into that because it is looking like the lawsuit, while they keep telling us it's over, as we speculated the other day, an appeal could be coming. We'll cover that just a little bit later. Let's cover some other things, though, really quickly before we move on. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, ticking today, or last night, rather, back up into neutral to 48. But, of course, yesterday we were down at 20. We didn't cover that on the show, but I do think it's very important. We're now seeing a very much a sign here on the Fear and Greed Index that we are recovering. But I want you guys to pay attention as we talk about some of the news and some of the details that would speculate on whether or not the bottom is in. One of the things we told you on this channel was do not be surprised to see a fear and greed on Bitcoin drop below 20. We did that on the 6th. We matched 20 again on the 8th of August, and now we're making our move back up. If you look at how things work out in bull markets like here back in 2020, you can see we had that big crash during the COVID time and then started to slowly but surely make our way up. This is one of the signs I want to make sure you guys understand is that, yes, while we're not saying that you're not saying that we're never going to see below 60,000 again. There's a lot of evidence that we do see a bottoming out happening on Bitcoin. And speaking of, let's go take a look at that chart and what is happening here. We've talked about it before. Very similar looking dynamics right now to what we saw all the way back in 2019. Now, I don't use this computer as frequently, so the mouse responds differently. So this is going to be a very fun TA show. But back in 2019, we had this falling megaphone pattern as well. We hit that support level on a Black Swan event. Black Swan in 2020 was COVID. This time, the Black Swan event, Asian markets temporarily crashing and everyone convinced that the world was about to enter into a recession. Yes, it was very short-lived. Either way, very similar looking charts were in order at that place. The other thing that happened here, at least on the daily chart, we have got ourselves into bullish divergence. What is bullish divergence? Well, we covered this last night with our members only group, our VIP trading group. But ultimately, what we're looking at here is on the daily chart, while candle bodies closed at lower lows here in this trend, our oscillators set higher lows. What does this communicate when we see a bullish divergence? It communicates that even though the bears pushed price to a lower level, they did so with less strength, communicating a changing of the guard of who is in control. In this case, the bears were in control. Now it looks like the bulls have the opportunity to switch the organization of power and start to push price back to the upside. As we mentioned, I told you guys last night, if you guys follow me on Twitter, in fact, let's make sure you guys do this. Let's go take a look at my page right here so you can see it, at Tims_TA. I want to show you, just in case any of you do not believe me, put a tweet out last night, 21 hours ago. While we are going nuts at the moment, might fill the gap at 63K. This move is very fast and very sudden. Be cautious about FOMOing in on it. If you buy for the long term. Don't freak out if price drops back down and capitulates. Don't capitulate at a loss. Ultimately, that's exactly what happened here. If we were to go to like the 1 hour chart, price came up, and at least here on the normal price section, hit about 62.9, give or take. Why did it have to go that high? Take a look over here at the CME futures coming back. Let's actually leave it here at an hour. On the CME futures, we had a gap set back here on August 2nd that take price back up to 63K or close to it. As you can see when you zoom in on the Bitcoin futures, look at where that wick went, closed out, but check out what happened during the pullback or during the rally. We created for ourselves a little gap right in here, coming back down to 59.9. Today, we have come back down and closed that gap. Now, it does look like, at least from historical CME futures positions, this is the argument, the rationale for Bitcoin to continue to move up and to the right. What are levels we're watching for, though, to keep an eye on? Again, we hit our take profit. We hit our strong order block here on the daily chart. As we start to look over the next couple of weeks for a big move to the upside, keep an eye on this bearish breaker block, the daily smart trail, and resistance all kind of coming in here just below $69,000 in that area. There will probably be at least a little bit of selling pressure. As far as moves to the downside on the daily chart, there's not necessarily a big argument as to why we need to move down. Like I said, the oscillator actually telling us we had the reversal pattern in play. But if we do move to the downside, let's go take a look. Come on now, there we go. Let's take a look at what the 4-hour chart is saying. Why is my voice doing this? I don't know why. When you have a career talking a lot, your vocal cords can be very strange.
Tim's hydrating there to step up his vocal quality. Let's get back into the chart.
Yeah, you would think I'm the one that fell down the stairs. Let's take a look at the 4-hour support level. That is very important. And I want to make sure people are clear. I'm not saying we have to come to this level, but if it happened, you might want to buy order right in here. We talk about that $1,000 that you would have to invest. If I saw a $55,000 Bitcoin, I would be buying. Why? Because the 4-hour is showing us that while on the oscillator, we're not necessarily screaming. If I can get this to pull up. Come on, mouse. There we go. Thank you for it. Well, we do see a little bit of a pullback in order here that we were overextended on the oscillator. We don't have to drop that far. And if we did, 55K, where we have an order block and that 4-hour smart trail, is an area that I'm watching, as I just don't see Bitcoin pulling back down below that level anytime soon. Coming down to the hourly chart, keep an eye over the next 12 hours, give or take, for maybe a pullback even as far as 58.4, back down here to a take profit and order block and the hourly smart trail. With that said, though, I want to make sure I'm very clear on this. That daily chart is very, very bullish. We've seen the weekly chart now be bullish for a while, hitting its major support, printing a buy order back in here a couple of weeks ago. But now that we see the daily chart confirming that a bullish reversal should be in play, and we're watching to wait for the 4-hour and 1-hour to come into agreement, that does mean that the great buying opportunity, the best buying opportunity left in this bull market, is coming very, very close. We have a handful of news as well that will keep that going in that thought process. Before we get there, just wanted to check in on our Bitcoin dominance here, continuing to climb based on what chart you're looking at. We're hitting new highs for this bull market today, coming up on the daily chart to the top level of our take profit here on 57.8. There might be a small pullback for a higher low on Bitcoin dominance, but keep an eye on the weekly chart, ladies and gentlemen, where the take profit does come in at or a little above 60%. The trend line that we're currently operating in on Bitcoin dominance does see us not hit resistance until that level as well. This is going to be something that I think the entire market will respond positively, but similar to what we saw. Again, remember how I've compared a lot of what we're doing right now to 2019, 2020. Similar to this time period, if I were to zoom in, let's turn off Luxoggle here for a second, just because that's not necessarily needed. Just like this time period between September and January or December of 2020, when Bitcoin dominance continued to climb, this did not mean everything was falling. In fact, you take a look at Bitcoin during that time period, September, right in here, boom, September to December, massive gains for Bitcoin. Same thing for altcoins. Ethereum during that same time frame, September to December, that's going to be right here to about right in here. Big gains. They just got going even more so afterwards. Even the likes of, let's say, like Cardano, for example, while it wasn't as dramatic of a climb, it still saw positivity. What does that mean? Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to the upside during the initial bullish pressure that is coming in here very, very soon. Look for that to be on the cards. That means you need to be looking right now to find a way. If you have $1,000, if you have more than that, and you're looking to deploy it, my expectation is going to be the best time to be using that $1,000 to buy a dip is probably over the next week or so. Let's go ahead and get into the news, and we're going to come back into some altcoins and talk about both. Tishu and I will tell you what I would do with $1,000 at this moment, spending on the altcoin and Bitcoin space. But Tishu, other than the charts showing a lot of reason and rationale for a bottom being in, what are we seeing in the news that is also making that look like that is the case?
Absolutely, Tim. Well, it's going to be a bit of a throwback to earlier this week. The first is this. This was breaking news at the time on August 8th. Michael Saylor says he owns over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin personally at an average price of $9,800 per coin. Must be nice. All this on top of his MicroStrategy's 12 billion holdings. So the man is well positioned to do very well in the crypto world, especially on Bitcoin. Now, what is significant about this is that before this tweet went out, the market did not know that Michael Saylor owned this much, especially at that price point. So this is big. This is not a buy at the bottom, right? But he chose to place this news headline here strategically to hopefully help put in a bottom here to help prices go back up in the asset that he is so obviously long. The other headline would be from this man here, another Larry Fink, who actually has in some ways began to compete with this man, Michael Saylor, in their aggressive approach to purchasing Bitcoin. But BlackRock is buying the dip. They bought the dip. BlackRock bought 897 Bitcoin. This would have been on the 8th of August, so just yesterday. But as you can see, we're kind of double dipping on that news because there's not a ton of market moving news today. There is some news, and we'll get to it. It's actually pretty interesting on the crypto side. But in terms of what's moving Bitcoin's price today, it really is just a continuation of the oversoldness that we saw as a result of the tensions in the Middle East and the Japanese market having a deleveraged event as a result of their essentially the carry trade on the yen getting kind of wiped out there. So Bitcoin sold off, and now it's resuming to the upside. But ultimately, who was there buying? It was the big whales over at BlackRock. So Tim, again, not a ton of news here, but what we are seeing on Twitter and on news websites, it's all still pretty bullish. So overall, not a ton of news, but it is bullish.
Real quick, drop top OX saying what happened to the Trump announcement. We're going to talk about that just next. I want to continue, though, with the sentiment because T-Stream's right. The news isn't heavy, but we're continuing to see more and more reports of what BlackRock was doing. First of all, we knew this a couple days ago. That was a huge announcement when BlackRock revealed they didn't sell anything during the crash. Remember, we talked about this yesterday. You don't listen to what people say. You watch what they do, and that tells you how you should be investing. Watching a financial guru, and I mean that respectfully because some people don't like BlackRock. BlackRock buys up and is trying to control the world. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's what they're doing. That being said, you cannot debate the fact that they make wise financial moves. And knowing that they didn't sell a single Satoshi during a crypto crash, and they simply use it as an opportunity to buy the dip, that is majorly bullish. We're watching Michael Saylor come out here and flex on us that he is the single most wealthy Bitcoin holder, with the exception of Satoshi Nakamoto, who might not even be one person. Might be multiple. So there's a very real possibility that not a single individual human on the planet owns more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor. That is extremely bullish. But let's think about some other things that are extremely bullish. As T-Shim referenced, we had a huge scare that happened on Monday with the markets crashing and fear coming out that the entire world was going to be entering a recession. There were fake reports that came out saying that potentially Jerome Powell and the Fed were going to come in and issue an emergency meeting and would issue an emergency rate cut of potentially 50 basis points, some even calling for as high as 75. Now, we referenced this, and we told you this is not what you think it was. In fact, even though we thought this was potentially a rumor, we said if this is true, and if we do see the Fed have an emergency meeting to cut rates, that is not bullish. Remember, historically, I want to set this stage correctly for everybody to understand why what I'm about to say is so bullish. But historically, people always want to bring it back up into our memory that when we see rate cuts, when the Fed pivots from quantitative tightening, meaning raising rates, to quantitative easing, lowering rates, this is historically matched crashes in the stock market. Now, crypto's not old enough to have a lot of history about what crypto does, but at this point, it's so young, you'd have to imagine if the stock market crashed, crypto probably would mimic it at least a little bit, right? Here's what I want you to understand. That correlation of always, just because we always see a crash in the stock market when we have a pivot in cuts, doesn't mean it would have to repeat history. But the reason why we always saw that happen was because we always have seen the Fed in the past cut rates because they're so afraid of recession. They're responding to terrible economic numbers. They're only trying to soften the blow. If recession or a depression is here, it's too late. I don't care if they cut it by 150 basis points. They're not going to stop the crash from coming if the crash is already here. So I want to reiterate that. If we had seen an emergency cut in rates, that would have been very bearish and crypto would have crashed. Of course, that report came out false. It was a rumor. We're actually seeing data now come in over the last couple of days saying that unemployment might actually be going down, that inflation is not as bad as people thought, that GDP is not as bad as people thought. Well, this has corrected us now. If you were to go to my screen here and take a look at the FedWatch tool trying to predict the next couple of rate cuts, we are back into a healthy balance. We're no longer even predicting 50 basis points in September. Watch this continue to climb. We're now heavily pricing in, we're not pricing on the charts yet, but we're predicting that only 25 basis points will be cut. Yes, that will be a pivot, but it will not be a pivot in response to economic disaster or economic recession. It will be because the markets are strong enough and we want to prevent ourselves from ever being in a spot where we're worried again, at least for the next couple of years. This is what we would call a soft landing. Now, I know a lot of people in chat are going to say, Tim, don't be an idiot. They're lying to us about the numbers. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, guys, yes. If you're new here, welcome. Smash like, hit subscribe. I talk about this all the time. You have to live in the world of reality, and the reality is inflation is out of control. The reality is we just got numbers the other day that credit card debt is at an all-time high. We know the national debt's at an all-time high. We know that they're about to turn money printers back on, which, by the way, that's also very bullish for crypto, but it's going to ruin our U.S. dollar even more so. Yes, reality is that they're lying to us, and the numbers are not what they say. With that being said, well, that's the world of reality. We also have to live in the world of numbers and data because investors invest based off of numbers, not always reality. And the numbers and the data are suggesting that we have an opportunity to, quote unquote, have a soft landing in the market. A soft landing would be very bullish for the stock market, very bullish for crypto, and would send prices to the upside. So I want to make sure you guys understand an emergency rate cut or a response to recession fears, very bad, very bad, very bearish. But a soft landing of saying, hey, unemployment's not high, inflation's getting lower, but let's go ahead and start cutting rates so we don't even worry about recession, that will be very, very bullish for the stock market and crypto. That's another reason we're seeing those things come in line now. Another reason why I heavily believe that the bottom is, in fact, in. That being said, again, if you're just joining, thank you for being here. Make sure to smash that like button. We're going to talk about a $1,000 investment here in a couple of minutes. But first, a lot of you are asking in chat, it's time to talk about the big rumor of the week. Donald Trump Jr. is in love with DeFi. Is it a meme coin? Is it something to do with tax regulation? We now know from our interview last night exactly what his plans are. T-Shroom, what should we be expecting from the Trump camp as far as DeFi and crypto is concerned?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be coming to us today from the Wolf of Wall Street. It's a pretty good X account there that keeps us abreast of some crucial information. Donald Trump Jr. has revealed plans to create a new DeFi platform aimed at challenging the traditional banking system and addressing financial inequality. Let's just pause there. Let's jam on that for a little bit because there's some stuff to unpack. There's more details to get into here, but plans to create a new DeFi platform aimed at challenging the traditional banking system. So what does that mean? That invalidates that it's policy, right? We talked about this in our X Spaces this Monday. That was the main speculation that it wasn't X Spaces. It would have been Bro Time, I believe. Bro Time on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. right after the stream. That it was going to be policy. That Trump was going to come out and say, "Hey, we're going to implement." RWA on Ethereum, or we're going to, come up with some kind of policy where that's going to interact with the U.S. government and cryptocurrency. Well, now we know that it is not that. It is a new DeFi platform aimed at challenging the traditional banking system and addressing financial inequality. The addressing financial inequality is an interesting one, Tim. What do you think about that phrasing there?
I'll tell you what I think about it. I'm going to just go ahead and give my answer for the entire announcement. It's a nothing burger. It's not anything of significance. Now, I'll say this what I said yesterday. When the name Trump is put on something, that's a great marketing scheme, right? There are millions of people who know nothing about crypto, nothing about DeFi, who are going to say, "Oh, look, there's a Trump DeFi platform. Maybe I'll start using that instead of a bank." Here's the thing. So when he's saying DeFi, he's not going to be creating an exchange like a Coinbase or a Binance or a centralized exchange like that. He's going to literally work on creating a DeFi platform. There's already some great DeFi platforms out there. They just need some marketing. But as we found out in Nashville, the Trumps have a long way to go before they even understand Bitcoin, let alone the rest of the crypto space and DeFi. Hopefully, they're going to hire some great investors and great minds to help them build this. But honestly, this doesn't tick the boat at all for me. The only thing I'll leave it open for is, hey, did they get an early advantage because they can onboard a bunch of new crypto investors because people are just going to follow the name Trump everywhere? That's possibly it. But if you're asking me, Tim, are you going to start, when this gets built, start putting all of your portfolio or you do all of your exchanges on the Trump DeFi platform? No. There's so many others with more experience and have been around for a long time that will probably operate a lot better. I'll say that again. I'll say that like it has the name Trump on it. It is another form of adoption. You never want to get too disappointed in another form of adoption. But at a certain point, there is a question of saying like, hey, thank you for being pro crypto. Thank you for being pro DeFi. Why don't you partner with an already existing brand? Why does it have to have the name Trump on it? Why does it have to be you who created it? I ultimately think that anyone who was waiting, I think we were waiting for something bigger, and I think this is going to end up becoming a little bit more of a nothing burger than anything super bullish, T-Shroom.
Yeah, I'm still willing to hold out hope that maybe there's something more to this, potentially. But yeah, I mean, it does say pretty definitively plans to create a new DeFi platform. Maybe they are going to merge with an existing one or something like that.
And if that announcement comes out, that'd be awesome. If we hear an announcement they're partnering, that'd be awesome.
That would be better. So if you're watching, you're listening to the Investing Bros for the first time, you're like, hey, I generally don't hate Trump. I don't think he's the best person ever. But why wouldn't this be bullish? Why wouldn't Trump plus crypto be bullish? It's not that it's not bullish, because it's like what Tim just said. Any adoption is, in theory, good adoption. Although a lot of people got burned by a lot of scams that you could say was adoption. But assuming that this is not a complete scam, which I don't think it is going to be, this is bullish, right? But it's not necessarily the same type of bullish as what Bitcoin has been. Is it going to be what frees humanity from the shackles of TradFi? Right?
Yeah.
There's way less evidence that it's going to be that vessel versus Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano or Solana, right? It's early days, right? So I'm still holding out hope, but I'm a bit of an optimist, right?
I'll also say this, T-Shirt, like, again, I understand Trump's been a businessman for a long time. I'm not asking him as he takes a presidential seat and his sons are advisors of him for them to give up every business they own. I don't want to be looking at new businesses made by our political figures. I want our political figures to create common sense regulation and laws and promote bills that actually help grow the ecosystem. They don't need to be building the businesses within them. Make it so that the already existing DeFi platforms can thrive and no longer have to flee the United States because of people like Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. Pass regulation, politicians. Don't go create companies to profit off the American people with these things.
Now, if I had to moon boy this is what I would say.
A moon boy. I love it.
One of the issues with crypto is that it feels inaccessible. It feels like to the average person who's out there, just at a skateboarding park right now, or they're shopping for their family, right? Crypto is the last thing on their mind. Why? Because it's perceived to be complicated, and it is to some extent pretty complicated to get involved in, especially DeFi. So what I will say is, even if they have just a solid DeFi project, right, that can compete with like a Compound or an Aave or something like this, then they do have the huge advantage of just being attractive and being a known entity. And if Donald Trump can spin this and really take it seriously and say, hey, we're going to stick it to JP Morgan. They've been lying to us for decades. We're going to stick it to Wells Fargo and Bank of America. They've been, doing bad things to the American people. We're going to take all MAGA dollars are going to go on to this DeFi platform. And, and if that is effective, that could be as effective as being good for adoption as Solana meme coins, right? And it could also be the next step in the future of finance. But that's to moonboy it, right? That's like a big best case scenario for all of this, is that it's a good solid DeFi project and Trump just throws his weight behind it and actually is effective in onboarding users, and then that just blossoms into the bigger crypto ecosystem that already exists of NFTs and other blockchains and different things like that. But that's, I don't know. I think I give that like maybe a 5% likelihood, maybe 10% likelihood at this point based on what we've seen. So yeah, that's what I would say. That's what I would say based on really the depth of understanding that Donald Trump exhibited in Nashville just a couple of weeks ago. That's what I'm basing that off of.
Yeah. As a whole, I guess just wrapping it up. I mean, to me, is there potential? I'm not going to say no, there's not potential. It's just not what I was hoping for the news to be. Similar to the Nashville conference, I left the announcement underwhelmed once again. Doesn't make me think that it's an evil thing or terrible thing. It just, to me, nothing changes. Before we move on here, Amy Liz Crypto asks a good question, and we probably need to make this decision at some point. Amy Liz Crypto, one of our new mods here. What are the women called that tune in immensely, that love the bros insights each day?
Bros.
So here's the thing. Yeah. So we've always said at this point that bros with the Z is a gender neutral term. Everyone's a bro, whether you are a male or female. If you identify as something else, still love you. You can still be a bro. That being said, if we want to classify that and give, I think someone said bro debts, but to me, I'm like, I think it would have to be brozette, because that Z needs to be right after the O. Let's see here. Crux, if you are in chat, put up a poll. Should our female community be called bros with a gender neutral term, or should we start referring to our bros and our brosettes? We need a poll going out pronto. It is time, T-Shroom, unless there's any other news that you wanted to get into, it's time to dive into what we would do with $1,000. But any other news?
Yeah, we've got one more story here, and because we're not going to go, we got into politics. We're going to stay in politics for another heartbeat, and then we're going to get into potentially the XRP lawsuit. Although a lot of that dust is settled, but we'll bring it to you just in case you haven't heard of it. But first, before we get to the XRP lawsuit, we got to get to this man right here. You may know him, you may not know him, but more than likely, if you have ears to hear, you have heard of Joe Rogan. This is Mr. Joe Rogan of the Joe Rogan Experience. And a lot of claims are going around Twitter that he has endorsed this U.S. presidential candidate, RFK Jr. Now, if you really look into it and you listen to the clip, which we're not going to play, Joe Rogan did not endorse RFK, but he did lead his listeners, which I count myself among Joe Rogan's listeners, to kind of, come to the conclusion, hey, RFK is really the best candidate. And he kind of, I think
the words he used, T-Shroom, the exact phrase he used was, he's the only one that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's the phrase that I think a lot of people are camping out on, saying that he endorsed RFK. Mm-hmm. I don't think that that's the case, but go ahead. Well, I'll give my take here and say, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think there's two parts to this. It's really, the first part is really parsing out what this, what did he really say? Does it matter because the media is spinning it? And, so I think that's the first part. What was actually said and what is being perceived? And I think ultimately Joe Rogan is being perceived as endorsing RFK. Now, I believe he's already somewhat formally endorsed Trump. But I think the second part is much more interesting of this, is if he does endorse RFK, if he does come out and clarify, which I don't think he will. I think he's probably, knowing Joe Rogan, it kind of seems like he's just going to leave it here and let the media speculate. But ultimately, I think he's thrown his weight behind RFK and kind of co-signed and said, hey, whoever RFK chooses, I'm gonna co-sign and
Mhm.
whoever RFK endorsed some and endorse them. So that's kind of the weight that I see behind this story. And but it is predicated on the first part of the story, which is what did he actually say? Did he actually endorse RFK? And is he going to come out and correct the media spin? But Tim, what's your take on this?
Yeah, the first thing I want to say, like I kind of mentioned it there, is people are jumping on this and trying to put words into his mouth. You always have to take whatever anyone says in full context. Also, endorsing looks like this: I, such and so, recommend that everyone who I influence should vote for such and so. That is not what he said, but that's what an endorsement sounds like. He made sense by saying RFK makes sense to me. He's legit. Guess what, everybody? You want to hear a repeat? Tim Warren is going to say RFK makes sense to me. He's legit. Does that mean he's the person I'm telling you to vote for? Not necessarily. In fact, you guys want to know who I recommend? Here it is. Tim endorse it. Just kidding. I'm not going to do that because that's not what we're here for. It actually goes into my next point here is I put this out on Twitter earlier today. We don't need to go to my Twitter, but I want to make sure you guys understand where I am. I think it's not hard to understand where T. Shum and I kind of sit at the moment as far as who we think we're going to vote for. Even though I don't think either one of us has said the words of who we're voting for, it's not hard to read between the lines and figure it out. But that being said, I respect everybody's right to vote for whoever they want. And I want to change the culture. I know we're only a channel of 28,000 subscribers. We're going to keep growing. We're going to be at 100,000 before the end of the bull market, Lord willing. But I want to be a part of changing the crypto culture, changing the political culture, and changing the world culture. You don't do that by all at once. How do you eat an elephant? You take one bite at a time. And I can only do what I can do. With that said, I want to take the little bit of influence that I have to all of you, and I hope that what I'm about to say resonates with you. I dream of a world in the political world where we have the right to vote for who we want to vote for with respect coming to us no matter who that person is. I also would like to live in a world where we choose and vote upon people based upon their policies and how they will lead us in the United States. For us American citizens, I want to vote for people based off their policies. Whether or not you support Kamala Harris or you support her new vice presidential candidate, Tim Walz, I'll be honest with you guys. I have disagreements with a lot of their policies and things that I think they would do. That being said, to make fun of or not vote for them because of what they did in college, I know especially Tim Walz, I want to be very clear. I condemn, I still love everybody who's spreading these jokes, but I think the jokes that are being made about Tim Walz back in college are absolutely stupid and ludicrous. That has nothing to do with what he's going to be as a vice president. Do I think he should be vice president? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying if people are going to vote on someone based off of actions they made in college or actions they made earlier in their political career or mistakes that they've made in the past, raise your hand if you never made a mistake in your past. Not a single one of you can honestly raise your hand. We all have skeletons in our closets. It's not about exactly everything we've done in the past. It's about what we're going to do in the future. Obviously, character and trustworthiness plays a long role in being able to believe politicians. But I believe in a world where we do not belittle our political foes. We don't try to imprison our political foes. We have a coming to the table, healthy debate, a clash of ideas, and ultimately we leave the voting people with understanding of what we would become or what we would do leading the nation. That's how politics should be orchestrated. So I'm calling out the left and the right, no matter where you identify, who you are voting for. If you want to know about my political beliefs and my affiliation, I believe that, yes, every single person should operate with character and respect, but we should focus on the policies and what the future looks like, not dwell upon people's past and use that as our main voting platform. That being said, do whatever you guys want with your voting, but I want to encourage you, if we don't become the change we want to see in the world, it will never happen. If you're like me and you're fed up with the dirty tactics and the stupidity of normalized political campaigning, make your voice known. Stand up. Condemn what's wrong, no matter whose side it's on. Stand up for what's right. Demand from our politicians that they serve us, the people, and do the things we ask them to do. We're not here to serve them. They're here to serve us. That's the future, but we've got to make it very clear.
All right, Tim, that was good. And what I will say, it's like the RFK makes the most sense in a world where politics just doesn't make a lot of sense. So, but that doesn't mean that RFK is going to win. Just leave it there. But Tim, you made some really good points. Last political headline here: Elon Musk will interview Trump on Monday night. Republican presidential nominee says so. That's something to look forward to. My guess is that will air on X, the X platform, which I think is the biggest news platform in the world. Okay, well, you've long awaited our takes here on the major twist in the XRP lawsuit. Ripple wins, but the SEC hints at bigger plans. Is an appeal looming? Even with the reduced fine, the SEC might appeal certain aspects of the case. While it's unlikely the SEC will challenge the recent order on penalties, it could still contest the July 2023 summary judgment that labeled secondary XRP sales as non-securities. Ripple views the judgment as a win, but Eleanor Tourette, journalist for Fox Business, reveals that the fine of $125 million was higher than the $10 million that the company had hoped for. Overall, though, the crypto market definitely saw this as a win. Tim, did you agree with the crypto market here?
Yeah, it's a win, and ultimately this article is going to affect some people. I still call farce on it. That still doesn't make sense. If anything, what this article is breaking down is they're discrediting the only reason why the SEC would appeal. What do I mean by this? We talked about this the other day. The SEC, led by Gary Gensler, someone who is a supporter of Kamala Harris, he wants her to win president because that would be his path to being Secretary of the Treasury. If Donald Trump or RFK won, even though RFK hasn't said this, he's getting fired day one or as soon as possible. It is in his best interest to support Kamala Harris. What is Kamala Harris doing right now to try to gain support? She's trying to change the game of how she's perceived in the world of crypto. Everyone knowing they're aligned, if we continue to see the SEC and Gary Gensler attack cryptocurrency, that's not going to play out well for Kamala Harris. They're very smart people. They might not be smart in every single category, but they understand the tactics of how things look. There's no way Gary Gensler appeals on that bit. Now, I could see him appealing about $125 million. I could see him saying, Judge, we asked for $2 billion. $125 million is way too low. Let's find some sort of middle ground and make that fee go higher. I don't think if an appeal happens, though, it's coming from the SEC. I still, right now, think that people are in limbo waiting to see does an appeal happen. And my money would be on if an appeal happens, it's actually coming from the side of Ripple, not the side from the SEC. That being said, XRP is going to continue to hold out, and it's not going to move until we see closure there. It's also doing exactly what I told you guys it would do. Someone asked, does this mean XRP is just going to take off up and to the right? And I said, no. XRP is going to trickle and follow what the rest of the crypto space does. It had its big rally. So last night as Bitcoin and other altcoins were rallying, it didn't do much special. That's because it got the early side of it. But during this pullback today, where Bitcoin and the rest of the alts have pulled back down to lower levels, XRP followed suit. Why? Because it's not XRP season. It's Bitcoin season. Bitcoin is the lead of the pack. It's going to dictate what the rest of the crypto space does. Sometimes those might front run Bitcoin or follow behind Bitcoin, but ultimately, if Bitcoin goes down, the rest of crypto will go down. If Bitcoin goes up, the rest of crypto will go up. That will continue until altcoin season, in which case there will be a large grouping of people taking profit from their massive Bitcoin gains and redistributing those into altcoins. That will start what we know as altcoin season. Look for that happening probably in December of this year. Let's transition there very smoothly. I've led it to a couple times, but now it is time here. It is at 3:43. We got about 15 minutes left on the show. Let's talk about $1,000 investment. If you had it today, what would you do? As I just said, I gave you guys argument after argument after argument as to why I believe the bottom for Bitcoin specifically is in. And as I just mentioned in my last sentence, if Bitcoin goes up, altcoins will go up as well. That means if you have $1,000 of dry powder, you should start looking and making a strategy as to how you should spend it. I'm not saying spend it right this second at all these current prices, but I am saying you need to go ahead and make a plan about what coins you are low in your investments and you want to go ahead and get attributed into. There's a very famous saying, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. this is the time to make sure you guys are going ahead and investing correctly. I am seeing here really quickly, Piper, I'm so sorry. You are right. We were in the middle of a deep conversation and they got lost in chat. There's a super chat a while back here about CleanSpark. CleanSpark earning reported was delayed yesterday. Webinar from CleanSpark at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. All right, that's going to be very interesting, even though we won't be live anymore. If something major happens there, I will be putting it out on Twitter. We'll have some conversation in our Discord chat as well. But Piper, thank you for the update. That's very big, guys. CleanSpark, probably the largest, most popular Bitcoin mining company. A lot of our community is invested in it. What is the news coming out at 4:30 as to why we got a delayed report? That is no small detail. Piper, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Back, though, into our conversation, how to spend $1,000. I don't want to overcomplicate this or make it crazy because, honestly, investing, the whole point of our channel is to help make investing simpler and easy on you. So if you came into this thinking we're going to be like, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to move $7.5 into this coin, $143 into this. That's not how this is going to go. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money exactly. And honestly, I'm going to make a very clean breakdown of how I want to spend it. But it's going to base on a couple of things. The first thing I want to make sure to point out to our channel, there's a couple videos I put out actually recently about what I've been purchasing recently and also how I would recommend newer investors invest in the space. You can't cookie cut recommendations or financial decisions and apply them to every person. Certain people have different preferences. Certain people have different investment opportunities. Certain people have different goals about how far they want their money to go. Where do you sit on the risk to reward ratio? That plays a massive role in what you should be investing in or not. If you do not like risk, I'll go ahead and answer very easy for you. If you're not a risk person and you just want to invest some money and get more money in return, Bitcoin. That's it. Don't make it crazy. Don't go any different. Bitcoin is the safest, low risk, yet still having a good reward that you will have. That reward's significantly lower than the rest of the crypto space, but so is the risk. So if you're a low risk person, just invest in Bitcoin. For the rest of you, though, let's dive into what I think people should be looking at with $1,000 right now. Starting off, T-Shroom, I want you to kind of lead this off. What would you be doing? I give you $1,000 right now. You have the next couple of days to spend it. Let's not even talk about price action. That's going to complicate it even more. Where are you taking $1,000 and splitting it into over the crypto markets today?
Well, it's crazy. I actually DCA'd today, so I can give you exactly what I would do. Now, I posted this in the Brolux chat in our Discord. If you guys are interested in getting more of the bros, the conversation doesn't have to stop here on YouTube. We keep chatting down in the Discord. Look at the description for that link to Discord. But this is what I dropped there. I just allocated 50% of my dry powder, and none of it was crypto. Now, do I make an attempt to spell everything correctly? No, I do not. But it's not that we don't tune in here to the Discord for spelling lessons. So I bought Tesla. I bought CleanSpark, which does report their earnings today at 4:30, and then BitX, which you can. This is basically a 2x leverage of Bitcoin in an ETF of the futures. I will say it's not a spot ETF, and then a lot of MSTR. MSTR is looking really, really good on the charts, and so is BitX. I mean, all of these are looking really good on the charts, but they're all stocks and ETFs. None of these are crypto. So you might be a little surprised tuning into the Investing Bros and hearing that I just bought a bunch of stuff and none of it was crypto, but all of it is crypto related except Tesla. But Tesla does own Bitcoin, so I guess in some sense it's all Bitcoin exposed at least.
Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. That's awesome. For what I would do, I'm going to keep it simple. I put out a video this morning specifically for brand new investors or people who just do not want to have to think that much about their investments because they're newer. I highly recommend all of you go deeper in your education. But if you're starting off and you're saying, you know what, I want a nice, easy, safe plan, there are 5 coins that I recommend every new investor look into. 1 for wealth, 1 for your institutional investment, 1 for your investment for the people, 1 for money, and 1 for decentralization. To find out what those 5 are, go watch my video from this morning. I'm not going to repeat those 5. Little tease there for you. You got to go watch it. It's worth your time. However, for anyone who's been invested for a while, It's very hard to pinpoint exactly for you what coin you should choose. But I'm going to help you think about where you should be. This is why you should always have a plan. What is your plan at the end of the bull market for what you think will have the greatest returns, your allocation for what it should look like? What does your portfolio split look like? Is Bitcoin 20%, 10%, 5% of your portfolio? Is Ethereum 5%, 10%, 15%? Is Ethereum, where is it on that list? Link, how many coins are you investing in? And where do you want the percentage of your investment to be a year from now? And then ultimately, go take a look at that portfolio. Where are you low at the moment? That is where you should be investing. So, for example, some of you might be low in your Solana investing, and it's time to go add to that bag because Solana is going to have an amazing bull run over the next 12 months. Where it comes to me, I already have a much larger bag of Solana than I actually need. I might be in the camp here in a couple of months of needing to take profit from some of my Solana, not to take into US dollars, but to reallocate into other cryptos. So for me, Solana is not the choice. Same thing with my favorite coin, Chainlink. I love Chainlink. Guess what? I already have enough. I don't need to add any more. So I'm not buying Chainlink over the next couple of days. For me, the coins that I am looking to scoop up because they are low compared to what I want mainly are going to be coming down to Ondo and Kaspa. I still want to be adding to these bags. Kaspa, of course, has been on a tear here more recently, gave us a godsend by dropping back down to 12 cents the other day, despite the fact that I do believe that coin's about to take off. I went and purchased some more on CoinW. Anyone wondering where you can buy Kaspa? CoinW is the exchange for you. You can go buy some spot on there. But Ondo is the other one that some people are going to tell you is not a great coin. And I don't think that necessarily everyone should have it. Ondo is absolutely a coin that has both high risk and high reward. I believe the reward still outweighs that risk, but for that reason, you need to be very skeptical on if you're the type of person that wants to own it. That being said, I am the type of person, and I had way too low holdings compared to the rest of my space. So more Ondo is part of what I'd be buying with my $1,000. The third and final coin, let's go for Tim, very super risky, but again, super high reward, Jasmy coin. Should everyone buy Jasmy coin? Not necessarily, but it is in my portfolio. It is something that I have plans about where I want to hold it, how long I want to hold it, where I'm looking to take profit. But at the moment, my portfolio is very, very low compared to the rest of the space. So even though I love Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and Chainlink and Cardano, I have enough of them. I don't need to deploy a new $1,000 there. I need to deploy it into the coins that I'm low in. What's the point of this? The point of this video isn't to tell you to go buy Ondo, Kaspa, and Jasmy, unless you love those projects and your portfolio is low according to your plan. The point of what I've just said is, what is your plan? What does your portfolio look like? What do you want that portfolio to look like this time next year in 2025? Once you know the answer to that, that will tell you right there what are the coins you need to be buying right now before the bull market takes off. If you're sitting here saying, Tim, thank you for the advice, but I don't even know where to begin with making that plan, that's what we are here for. I hope you guys learn each and every single day just watching our free content here on YouTube. I hope you learn from our free Discord. But ultimately, if you are the type of person I just described that has no idea how even to start making a plan, that is why we launched our Bros membership packages. These allow you to come in and look at, for example, what does T Shroom's portfolio look like? What does Tim's portfolio look like? What does Crux's portfolio look like? It also gives you access to lessons and extra streams with us where you can have a more intimate relationship and ask us more hands-on questions so we can answer those. Our highest level Pro Bros right there, you get a free quarterly one-on-one that we help coach you on how you should think about your portfolio. We're not financial advisors. We're not going to tell you how much money you need to put where, but we will ask you questions like, how much money do you have invested right now? What is your goal a year from now? What is your risk to reward ratio? What do you feel like right in here? And we will help you educate yourself on making plans for your investing journey. That's something that's very, very important. If you don't have that plan, you're destined to fail. That's what we're here for. Go check out that link today if that interests you. Sarge Ghost says more intimate. Here's the thing, guys. Get your heads out of the gutter. Intimacy just means we have a good relationship. We don't got to go stretch everything into inappropriate levels. T. Shroom and I are intimate in the sense that we know each other very deep levels. I'm going to get myself in trouble. People are
We're
going to
having
clip
fun.
this. I don't care. I love T-Shroom, and T-Shroom and I are great brothers. We're bros.
That's right. That's right.
Let's transition with this, guys. If you enjoyed that, despite the parts about intimacy, smash the like button, hit subscribe. Let's get our factoid of the day, and we'll be out of here in just a little bit. What do you got for me today, T-Shroom?
All right. Well, Tim, you heard about it when Tim was talking about where to buy Caspa, which, by the way, in case you missed it, it's over here on CoinW. Maybe you were like, wait, but where's CoinW? We have a link to it in the very video. Look at that. That's the beard you're watching. Just scroll down to the description, and bada boom, bada bing, you get the CoinW exchange link where you can get a free $100 when you sign up and fund your account. But Tim, CoinW brings us the factoid. But what is the factoid? It is, what is the place of origin of the taco? Is it A, Mexico, B, España, C, El Salvador, or D, Portugal? Tell me, how bad did I butcher those options in the chat? And let me know, what is the answer to this question? What is the origin of the taco?
Not fair. Because I don't know if you're going to try to trick me here, because it seems like on the surface I should just say A, Mexico. But was the taco a thing before Mexico? Did the Spaniards bring it to Mexico? I don't know,
think,
man.
Tim? What do you think? When's the last time you had a taco?
The other day, I didn't have a taco, but my wife made tacos, and I just ate the meat.
Okay.
So does that count?
No.
To be a taco, does that? The last time I had taco was Nashville trip. You and I stopped at Taco Bell.
I think the good people of El Salvador would not consider that. Oh, I just gave it away. Oh, man.
I'm going to say C, El Salvador. Unless you're tricking me, and that was your plan the whole time.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm going to go with C. I feel like I think you gave it away.
Oh.
He did. It was my original hunch. Darn it.
Place of origin
All right.
was Mexico, and this is on the official Wikipedia page of taco. Now,
all right.
And it's if Amy loves cryptos in the chat. I said that one for you. I pronounced it taco because you put your taco in the bag.
In the bag.
This is some further reading here from the Factoid Elf. According to one entomological theory, the culinary origin of the term taco in Mexico can be traced to its employment among Mexican silver miners as a term signifying plug. The miners used explosive charges in plug form consisting of paper, wrapper, and gunpowder filling. So, Tim, and now every time you eat a taco or a hot dog, I would say probably would fit this description as well. Just remember those Mexican silver miners
hot dogs
that made beautiful silver jewelry.
Yeah.
All the more tasty.
I need to compliment you, T-Shroom. The subtle acting that you just displayed in the last 3 minutes, bravo. Play yourself a round of applause for that. That was very good. It was very subtle. Well done. You fooled me and the rest of the chat. That's some good stuff right there. You learned something new today, guys. It was as simple as it sounded. Mexico was the one inventing the taco. That is going to wrap up today's show, but on the way out, again, not only smash the like, hit subscribe, but I wanted to give you guys an update about something really, really cool. A lot of you know we had a campaign here in July. I'm assuming you saw something funny. We'll get back to you in a second, T-Shirt. We had a campaign here in July with one of our ministry partners, Life for the Innocent. Some of you guys were here for it. This is an organization that works in South Asia to save children from sex and organ slave trafficking. A very, very important ministry, something that's very near and dear to mine and T-Shroom's heart. In a roundabout way, individually, we've both been associated with this ministry for a long, long time, but it's been awesome to partner with them for the Investing Bros. And I just wanted to give you guys a praise report and a just amazing shout out to you guys. The Bros community in our first campaign, raising funds, raised $5,200 to go towards the ministry. And if you broke down what that looks like, that would be 3 children. Of course, I know in the future we're going to do more, but I just want to give you guys all a praise report and just a thank you so much for being a part of it. Because of your generous donations and giving to this organization with your trading fees, we're going to save 3 children from slavery, and that's not a small thing. Of course, I want to save more. I want to save them all, but you got to start small and you got to keep going. look forward to future campaigns. If that's something you guys were excited about and you want to see it again, we're probably going to be running another campaign sometime in November or December. So look forward to that again. Also, you don't have to wait for our campaigns. You can find out in our description down below. If you want to find out more about their organization, get involved, and give money year-round, all that information is down in the description. Thank you so much for being a part of that, everybody. We love you guys. This is the reason we're here. We want to see you guys be prosperous financially. We want to see you change your family's lives and your future's family lives, but we're also here to see the world become a better place. If that's something you guys you just want to make your own money and run, that's fine. You're still allowed to be part of the Bros community. But I hope that you guys have the same heart that T. Shum and I have, that we are blessed to be a blessing to others. Please consider in the future ways that you can help be a part of solving this problem of slavery that still exists in the world, and specifically saving the lives of innocent children who did not ask for that kind of lifestyle. Guys, we're going to wrap up today's show. We're going to be back live tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. for our Saturday show. What are we going to talk about? I have no earthly idea. Come back, figure it out. But with that said, we'll see you tomorrow. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.